Christ. He denied, in other words, like deny as in, how do you say that? Like refute or, you in this sense, there's a denial to where you reject the idea of Yahushua being the Son of the Most High, right, and the Messiah. And then you have a denial that happened at that moment, because the Most High, and I'm gonna prove it to you, the Most High put that spirit of fear on Peter to accomplish his will. I'm gonna show you that. Hold on, man. I got this cat tripping, man. Hey, you better not. Maya, ele quer saber. Ahí está, vaya. Ya le dije salir, ya, vaya. Está fuerte, amor. Me está chingando, está haciendo como que iba a orinar. Sí, está por aquí en el teléfono. Y'all forgive me, man. My daughter's rebel ass cat. Okay. All righty. So, this is what I want you to do. I want you to find the spot where Christ told Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." Let me show you. So that moment in front of, or in the courtyard of the chief priest's palace, while Yahushua was inside being judged, or rather falsely accused. Found it?
Yeah, Matthew 16 and 23.
Okay, I'll tell you, we're going to read a little bit above 23. Matthew chapter 16. And the brother's question is, how could Peter have been given the keys to the kingdom after having or retained him, even though he denied Christ? And my explanation I'm going to show you is Peter, you have the type of denial where someone is rejecting the idea of Yahushua. No, I don't believe he's the Son of the Most High. He said, in other words, and to the degree where they argue the point that he, that made him the Messiah, the miracles that he performed, and all of those things, that is denying or rejecting, or you have the practice or the moment, not the practice, but the action of the moment, disassociating yourself, because that's the type of denial that Peter did. He disassociated himself with Christ, and I'm gonna prove it to you that the Most High put that spirit on him to fulfill his will. So we're in Matthew chapter 16, you said,
Yeah.
And you said verse 23, but I want you to start from verse 21.
Okay.
No. Yeah, let's do this. The brother brought a point that I want you to start at verse 13. All right. So we're in Matthew 16, y'all, starting at verse 13. And this is actually it's going to include where, quote, Christ gives, so to speak, the keys of the kingdom to Peter. Go ahead, Adam.
Matthew chapter 16 and verse 13. When Yahushua came into the coasts of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" And they said, "Some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah."
See, this was the talk that was going on about Yahushua, but he's not even asking because he don't know. He's asking because he's seeing, you're going to see, he's measuring where the apostles are, but he want to hear their own words. Go ahead.
Or one of the prophets. He saith unto them, "But whom say ye that I am?"
So who do you say I am? Go ahead.
Verse 16. And Simon Peter answered and said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living power."
So that right there is proof that in the sense of denying or rejecting the idea that Yahushua was the Son of the Most High, the Messiah, That didn't happen because he, on his own volition, says, this is who you are. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven.
Go ahead.
And I say unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it.
So the term, the keys, right? Or the term, the church being built, he's putting basically Peter in charge of the forwarding of the gospel. That's it. Like they have those different, like in cartoons or shows that might reflect when somebody died, they go to heaven and they see Peter sitting there at the gate with the keys dangling on his finger. But that's not saying the actual keys. He's talking about the Most High Peter was the one. What he's going to tell you. Go ahead, read the next verse. So he's telling you the foundation. Christ was leaving Peter in charge. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven.
Go ahead.
And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven.
So what is that saying? These apostles were going to encounter circumstances that in this 3 years time that they spent with Christ, Christ's ministry began when he was 30. Christ wasn't walking around from childhood performing miracles like people be trying to, these crazy books and theories and things. Christ, it tells you in Luke chapter 3 that his ministry began when he was baptized by John the Baptist. That was 30 years old. He spent 3 years performing miracles, and all the things that the apostles from Christ's absence on would encounter, he couldn't cover that in 3 years. The various things, the decisions, it's like us in the scriptures. The scriptures literally don't have written down every circumstance or that a man could find himself in, and then tells you what to do, what thou shalt not do. The scriptures literally teach us how to think. And the teaching of how to think begins with the obeying of the law. And then the Most High gives us his spirit. Once he's satisfied with the level of our commitment, our obedience, he endows us with understanding. And this understanding is constantly built upon throughout your life in this work. And listen, and he take it from you too. When you don't satisfy or you don't perform according to his satisfaction. The Most High will take your understanding. So that understanding is what equips you to be able to handle circumstances that are not written in the Bible. And just as an example, it's the reason for which we know abortion is wrong. There is no law that says thou shalt not go into the woman's womb and rip out the seed by force. But why do we know that that's wrong? Because the law had taught us thou shalt not murder. Aside from the law teaching us thou shalt not murder, it also gave us an example of a woman being pregnant and two men striving. And whoever, if let's say one man hit another man, and that man that got hit falls into the pregnant woman and causes her to lose her seed, the scriptures say whatever follows has to happen to that man. Eye for eye. That's where you get the eye for the eye law over a woman or having her seed accidentally knocked from her. A miscarriage caused by accidental blow received. And if the baby dies, the one who actually hit her and caused the miscarriage has to die. The baby's born with a messed up eye. This nigga gotta wait 9 months or however long for the baby to be born. And whatever wrong with him has to happen. That's why I said eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You understand? That's how we know abortion is wrong, because it's shown the Most High has laws that protect the pregnant woman, even under circumstance of accidents. Now, what would happen if something is intentional? So it is not my body, my choice. Some man put that seed in you. That's his progeny. But that's what? That's what the law and understanding of the law teaches us. Because there is no law that says thou shalt not perform a procedure that today we call abortion. Okay, there will be many things for the rest of Peter's life and the apostles that they will not have encountered while they're 3 years with Christ. Many. And the keys of the kingdom is Christ telling the most high, Christ telling Peter that the decisions that you have to make, the Most High is going to what? Back them up in the spirit. Whatever you bind on earth, meaning whatever you restrict, whatever you loose, whatever you what? Allow. Those are the things that will be bound or loosed in heaven. That's what that verse means. The Most High have Christ confirming that you are the head of this church. And all the leaders of the enemies on this planet will not prevail against you. That's what the gates of hell, the gates represent the leaders of any given society, of any given nation, right? Okay, read on down, Amayetazah, verse 20.
Matthew chapter 16, verse 20. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Yahushua the Christ.
So he said, okay, you see this, but don't tell nobody else. Why? Because the people have to measure Christ and come to the conclusion by the works that he did before everyone. That's why he said, don't you tell them, because why? Because they have to come to that conclusion. Go ahead.
Verse 21.
Or rather, as he just told Peter, the Most High have showed you that. Christ knew that the Most High would open up the eyes of those who was meant to see that he was the Christ. Go ahead. So the brother that just came in, we're in Matthew chapter 16, and now he's getting ready to read verse 21. Go ahead, Ak.
From that time forth began Yahushua to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day.
So at that moment, Christ began to break it down to the apostles, man, this is what I have to suffer. This is what I'm going to be put through, and they're going to kill me. And Peter could not take that. He couldn't take that revelation. He said, I'm going to rise the third day, but Peter was too focused on the killing. Now watch how Peter reacts. Go ahead.
Verse 22. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, be it far from thee, Lord. This shall not be unto thee.
Peter is not saying, countering Christ's prophecy. Peter is telling Christ, I'm not going to let that happen. And I'm going to prove that too. That's why, who was the one that took off the soldier of the chief priest? Took his ear off. That was Peter. Brother, that day, Peter was going to whoop some ass and kill. And that first shot was a warning to show, I know how to use this thing. Yeah, I'm a fisher, but I'm a warrior as well. And he took off. You ever tried to wield a sword? It's going to be them little bitty ass Japanese katanas. So a person with an unskilled hand with that sword, guess what? It would have lopped off 1/3 of a nigga's head. But this dude pulled out a sword and just took the ear off. We're going to go there after this. So when he tells Christ, hey, far be it from you, he's rebuking Christ. He's telling you how I'm not going to let this happen. Read on down, Amayetazah, verse what?
Verse 23. But he turned and said unto Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me. For thou savorest not the things that be of the Most High, but those that be of men.
So he called Peter Satan because at that moment, Peter was what? Imposing his will. He wasn't embracing what the will of the Heavenly Father was for Christ. So Christ called him Satan. You're being an adversary right now, as if it wasn't already hard enough that day that only you know, right? Peter didn't know what day it was going to be. None of the apostles did, but Christ knew exactly all the way down to the millisecond when this thing was going to come. And what? And they're making it hard for him. And if you think they weren't making it hard for them, all you got to do is read his prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane. Hell, he didn't even want to do it. He prayed 3 times asking the Heavenly Father to allow him to not have to do it. But it doesn't say that. It says, let this cup pass from me. I don't want to drink of this cup. But nevertheless, thy will be done. So that's all you need is someone else feeding the weakness that's already in you. People don't really realize Christ was a man. The Most High sent him in the form that we're in. Sinful, lustful, fearful, weak, rebellious, obstinate, you understand, flesh and blood. So he rolled on Peter. Now, Amayetazar, read that verse one more time, and then let's go to, it might be the book of John. I want to find the part where it specifically tells you the one who cut the guy's ear off was Peter.
Matthew chapter 16 and verse 23. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of the Most High, but those that be of men.
And that very same spirit be among us. Every time we take an option, every time we exercise the option to take the weaker of things that lie before us, that's us what? That's us choosing or electing the things that we want rather than what? Then when he says service, rather than embracing the road that Christ set out for us, which is what? Service. 100% service and affliction. How do we know that? Because Christ said himself, if you are lukewarm, he will spew you out of his mouth. Christ said himself, no man can serve two masters. The scriptures tell us how the teaching is gotten, how to have only one counselor. This experience is very exact. And anytime we make it a point to make it easier on ourselves, guess what we're guilty of? We're guilty of what the scriptures refer to as lasciviousness. You know what lasciviousness in street nigger terms? Softness. That's in the scriptures. It tells you softness, comfort, relaxed. And that's why we're exhorted. When you read what Paul wrote to Timothy, what did he say? Endure hardness as a good soldier. There's nothing soft about this work. It wasn't meant to be easy. So Peter is feeding that human side of Christ when Christ has to summons up what? The side that's given to what? That have been broken to the will of the Most High. And Peter's combating that. Now, where are we going? Did you find the part in the Garden of Gethsemane?
John 18 and verse 10.
Let's go there. John 18. And go ahead, so we're there. No,
John chapter 8.
I want you to start off. I want you to start off at verse 1.
Okay. John chapter 18 and verse 1. When Yahushua had spoken these words.
Now, John 17 is the actual prayer. All right. So he's done praying. Go ahead.
When Yahushua had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook of Cedron, where was a garden, into which he entered, and his disciples. And Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Yahushua oft times resorted thither with his disciples.
They had their hangout spots where they could get away from the masses. This was one of them. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Judas then, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees.
So you see, these were not Roman soldiers. These were officers and soldiers that they were Israelites that were in the employment of the chief priests. Go ahead.
Verse 3 from the top. Judas then, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, cometh thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Yahushua therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth and said unto them, Whom seek ye? They answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Yahushua saith unto them, I am he. And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. As soon then as he had said unto them, I am he, they went backward and fell to the ground.
Now, what is Christ doing? He's giving them a display of his power. I'm him. Boom, they fall back. Judas among them. Why? Because Christ is procuring the safety of the apostle. This is what he's doing. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Then asked he them again, Whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth.
So he knocked them to the ground first. Then he asked them, so who is it that you're looking for? They repeat that they're looking for him. Go ahead.
Verse 8, Yahushua answered, I have told you that I am he. If therefore you seek me, let these go their way.
So boom, because he knew, the scripture said he knew all things, they were going to take all the apostles. So Christ spoke to them, gave them a little blast of power and knocked them all on their asses. Asked them again, so who is it you come for? They repeated, okay, so you got me. Let them go. Go ahead, I'm going to read on. Now, this is to show you Christ rebuked Peter that we just read in chapter 16. But that's Matthew 16, but that spirit still wasn't out of Peter. Read on down.
Verse 9, that the saying might be fulfilled which he spake, of them which thou gavest me have I lost none.
So let's talk about chapter 17. That's in that prayer. Go ahead.
Verse 10, then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it, and smote the high priest's servant, and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus.
Right, earless Malchus now. Malchus, the one ear, right? So what is he showing you? Peter wasn't talking stuff, man. He wasn't talking smack. Christ had already showed him a power, and Peter clearly took it. It's okay, it's all right. You know, Christ knocked the people back, but they come back. So he was not even, he didn't deny Christ in that capacity. Hell, in his mind, he was defending his master. And Christ even told Pontius Pilate a couple of chapters down the line, right? This is chapter 18, it's in this chapter. He said, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom was of this world, he said, then my servants would fight that the Jews don't turn me into you. Because Peter had, Christ said it, he would have still been whacking. He'd been whacking right now. So Peter was not even, he wasn't denying Christ. But do you see the spirit that he's in? He's ready to go to war. The Most High put a spirit of fear to accommodate that what? So his will could be fulfilled. You mean, because it's moments after this where he's cussing a woman out for saying you was with him. And I can tell because you talk the same dialect. And that's when he started saying, you mother, you know, but he wasn't denying the Savior. He was literally at that moment disassociating himself. Now, let's this. See, was Peter afraid? He didn't already show us he wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid to fight. He wasn't afraid to die. But then so many minutes later, when Christ is finally captured in the castle, all of a sudden what? He's afraid. So that this could happen, so that this process that Christ was under could run its course. Continue on, Yetazar. Read that verse 10 again.
John chapter 17 and verse 10. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it, and smote the high priest's servant, and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Then said Yahushua unto Peter, put up thy sword into the sheath. The cup which my father had given me, shall I not drink it? He's
like, what am I going to get out? Am I going to get away from having to fulfill what my father had determined I have to do? So he had to do it. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Then the band and the captain and officers of the Jews took Yahushua and bound him, and led him away to Annas first, for he was father-in-law to Caiaphas, which was the high priest that same year.
So does that, I hope that, does that a little clearer to you, the course of events, that you see that, now listen, now it should be in this very same chapter. If it's not, it'll probably be in the following chapter. Let me see, where is it at? Find for me where it may not be in this account. But I want to find, is it in this chapter?
What?
Where Peter, where he does deny Christ in those words, where he says,
verse 27.
Okay, so this is what you do. Verse 27, I see that. I want you to just go ahead and pick it up from verse 19.
Okay.
Same
John
chapter, verse 19.
John chapter 17, verse 19. The high priest then asked Yahushua of his disciples and of his doctrine. Yahushua answered him, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whither the Jews always resort, and in secret have I said nothing. Why askest thou me? Ask them which heard me, what I have said unto them. Behold, they know what I said.
So yeah, he said, tell me a little bit about you and your disciples. He said, listen, the whole time I've been teaching in the open. Why don't you go ask the people what I said? Go ahead.
Verse 22. And when he had thus spoken, one of the officers which stood by struck Yahushua with the palm of his hand, saying, Answerest thou the high priest so?
Well, you're gonna be talking to the high priest like he slapped him upside his head. You palm somebody. Wow, you don't talk to the high priest like that. Go ahead. You can imagine what awaits this dude. Go ahead. You know, all bone up and shit, brother. Judgment day, but it's gonna be a bit. I wonder if some of these cats is around now. You know, the scriptures tell you that when Christ comes back in the book of Revelation, that even those that pierced him are gonna be here. That means the ones who actually drove the nails, the ones that actually put the spikes in him, the one that actually checked to see if he was dead and pierced his side, they're gonna be here, huh? So Christ is a man of payback. What do you think this nigga got coming? Go ahead.
Verse 23. Yahushua answered him, If I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil. But if well, why smitest thou me?
Yeah, if I said something wrong, tell me what I did. But if not, why are you hitting me? Go ahead.
Verse 24. Now Annas had sent him bound unto Caiaphas the high priest. And Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. They said therefore unto him, Art not thou also one of his disciples? He denied it and said, I am not.
Now, what's taking place here? Right? Simple and plain, fear. The high priest is inside asking about Christ and his disciples. And now the apostles, not the apostles, but the people outside with him are recognizing. So what's taking place now? This has to accommodate his spirit, have to accommodate what has to happen. Imagine had it been the other way, Peter out there with them hoods on, Lord of the Ring hoods out there like ring wraiths waiting. And the minute they come out with Christ, they just start killing all the soldiers that's taken. Because that's what Peter wanted to do. He done already showed that. So the Most High had Peter, what? Like the scriptures tell you in Deuteronomy, part of our curses. The scripture says that in Deuteronomy 28, that the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart. He literally was afraid. Whereas a couple of moments ago, literally, he's ready to go and take heads off, giving warning shots across the bow, boom, ears gone. Next moment, I don't know that dude. Because the Most High is what? Doing what's needed for this course of action to take place. Go ahead, Amayetazar.
Verse 26. One of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman, whose heir Peter cut off, saith, Did not I see thee in the garden with him?
See that? So this person was there. He recognized Peter because Peter cut off his kinman, his brother's ear. He wasn't never about to be. I'm glad he didn't get me, but you were there. Go ahead.
Verse 27. Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crew.
There you go. All right. I'm gonna take a break and use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Yes, what's going on with your boys today, man? You woke up. Oh, snap. Hold on now. Hold on now. Hey, man. They almost lost to the Yanks today, man. What's up with that? Hey, you muted. I can't hear you, brother.
You're muted on me.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought the Americans were going to win. To be honest, they played a lot better than England.
I just want to know why they almost lost to them wankers, man.
Pardon?
I want to know why they almost lost to them wankers, man. That's mad.
They almost what?
I want to know why they almost lost to them wankers. That's mad. That's mad, bro. Disney, bro. Mad Disney.
But do you know what though? Although England have the Premier League, they never perform on the international stage. They're really overrated.
I know, but then they're going against America, so I don't know about that. Ain't like
But you know what though? Do you know what? The Americans, obviously, with their MLS league, you know, I know don't forget, a lot of the American players actually play in England and in Europe.
That's true. That's true.
And let me say this. This is profanity. Now, when I be saying shit, other vulgar words, those are vulgar words. But what you guys are doing is profanity. It's the perfect time because we got an audience out there. And this is a lesson. When the scriptures talk about profanity, it's talking about topics that are non-holy. I'm not coming at you. I'm really seizing the opportunity to make an example of the difference between profane and holy. So the lesson that we were talking about for the setting that we're in, it's holy no matter where we're talking about it. Because why? Because it's the scripture. But in this setting, to be speaking of sports, that's not holy. It's profane. What's being uttered is profanity. That's not curse word. Cuss word. Listen, cuss words. Cuss words is words that are designed to express malicious intent towards somebody, hurtful or harmful intent. That's what a curse is. Profanity is any topic. You could be talking about your bronze baby shoes. That's profane. But to be speaking about things concerning the scriptures in this setting is holy. To be speaking about things concerning the scriptures on the outside of where it isn't appropriate, it's not profane because the topic, but it still isn't appropriate. Imagine up in the club, you went to the club, now you run around here putting the Bible on chicks with miniskirts. That's not the place for it. It's not profane, but guess what made it profane? Where it is, it actually is profane. Because you've taken that which is holy to what? To the profane sector of society. Now, I only did that because it was a perfect example because people be talking about how my language is so profanity laced, and it isn't. My language every now and then is laced with vulgarities. And the term vulgar means common. And you guys all know most people talk like that, wrong or right? In our language. It's just society have gotten so soft. The men in society have gotten so soft and they're telling everybody that they have to be a gentleman. Women are meant to be gentle. Men are meant to be men. Anyway, I'm sorry if I, because I'm not coming at nobody. I just really wanted to take the advantage and give that that little brief lesson. That's what profanity and what profaneness is. It's just those things out of context for where you are. Now, you sitting at the crib or at a sports bar or any place else, talking game, talking the sports, it's not profane because it's sports. You're in the right place. It's not wrong. You're talking about lowriders or whatever, you at a car show or wherever you are. But that's where it's appropriate. But then the minute you bring the holy in or the non-holy, non-scripture, what would we call it, non-sacred to this setting, that's profane. And to take what's supposed to be shared in this setting and take it to a profane setting makes the holy profane. You know what I mean? Everybody's all like quiet, big ass eyes now. I'm not in trouble. I just wanted to get that lesson. Right? Go ahead, who's playing shit? Let me down. I heard they had what I call it, the second revolution today. It was America versus right?
Yeah.
The second revolution. Then they should have pulled out guns and just started going at it again. Anyway, okay, so are there any other questions? I have one for you guys because this is based on what's been going around in the Israelite verse, the Israel verse, like they got the Marvel verse where we are officially members of the Israelite verse, right? And this concept of anti-Semitism. This is a question that I have. It's not a question for testing. It's a question, it's something that I don't know. When Esau, or I should say, I'm making an assumption. So when Esau or anyone begins to accuse someone of being anti-Semitic, it is my assumption that they're talking about a descendant of Shem. Something dawned on me, Amiyatazar, because of who we're dealing with, because we're dealing with that demonic seed, they might be referring to something totally different than what we think. That's my question. Is anyone familiar or have studied when they say anti-Semite specifically? Has it ever been cleared up what that is? Because I make this,
Okay, I'll wait till Dr. My bad. I'll wait.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Anti-Semitic here, it shows that it's a person that is hostile or prejudiced against the Jewish people.
All right. So now I'm here to officially say that's some bullshit. Now we have to go down this. So this is what we do. And this is supposed to equip you, brothers. Say what did you look up?
Yeah, because when you think about it, the literal meaning, if someone is anti-Semitic, then they're not just against the Jews, they're against all of Shem's seed.
That's the point I'm going. I said everybody go to Genesis chapter 10. They're trying to corner the market.
Yeah.
What people are is anti-your ass, what you've been doing in people's countries, causing revolutions and all of these things and bringing smut to Hollywood. They're the ones behind all the smut and entertainment. It's the reality of it. They're the ones behind all the financial catastrophes and the banking and the wars. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not them alone, but they could, even Christ mentioned them. So I just kind of want to equip us with what? The information that helps to fuel a legitimate, not argument, but an informed position for debate. Okay, so Amiyatazar, you've got Genesis chapter 10. I want you to start off at the verse where it says, and the sons of Shem.
Okay. Sons of Ham, sons of Cush, and Cush begat.
And this is the problem with all of these, you know what, I'm gonna say this. I'll be seeing all of these people applauding these athletes and these different entertainers that's trying to come out. I watched somebody on YouTube explaining his response. There's a basketball player, I believe, explaining his response for having seen all those brothers from IUIC. One of them, but when the basketball player Kyrie went, I think he got allowed back in. And these dudes, the brothers, the IUIC, the brothers that dress in the purple and gold, They went to, I guess they went, I don't know what they went for, but I'm assuming they went to show him some support. I don't know if anyone saw that. It's a video, 100 of them doing chants and stuff, right? And so this other basketball player he quoted the word energy. And now he's getting grilled. And he's sitting there like a scared ass cat. Like literally, you got reporters with their phones, and he's being ever so cautious. Say why he put that word. The first thing the sorry ass dude said was, I wasn't wearing my glasses. But nigga, shut up. And that means you wouldn't have spelled energy the right way. You would spell something like ingredient or some shimmy. Now here's the problem, brother. Just so that you know, you got all of these weak ass characters that haven't crossed the line to Christ, and they're trying to be recognized. They think that becoming an Israelite or coming out as an Israelite is a move you can make that's designed to be fashionable, and it isn't. The very nature of claiming Christ means you what? You're going to war with the world, and you lose every damn thing. The first thing you lose is any type of positive esteem that the world holds for you. And they ain't ready for this. And they're not ready to defend their position because they're uninformed. What I'm trying to show y'all, this is a lesson on pride as well. They're going out here ill-prepared, unequipped, and saying some words, and Esau snapping them down and telling them who they are. Nigga, you play basketball, that's what you do. Then they start canceling. All these niggas is apologizing. I'll apologize for hurting. No, nigga, you shouldn't apologize for hurting nobody's feelings either. They make it seem like I didn't apologize for saying what I said. I'll apologize. No, I ain't apologizing for nothing. Now let's go through the specs. What are you accusing me of what I'm supposed to do? Of course, they don't have to be as passionate as I am in this moment. I wouldn't be as passionate in that setting as I am in this moment. But I would say, well, what are you accusing me of? I'm going to find out what they're saying. You're calling me anti-Semitic. Well, what is that? It's against the Jewish people. Well, wait a minute. How is anti-Semitic against you when many people come from Shem? So we're going to read about Shem's sons. Go ahead, Amayatazar. Go ahead, call the verse out.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 21. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram.
Okay. Those are 5 men, right? Those are all the Shemites and everybody that would come from them. Read that again, Amayatazar. Read it from that verse again. We're going to go one for one.
Verse 22. The children of Shem, Elam.
Okay, Elam today, let's make it legit. This is the flood. Go to Antiquities of the Jews and the Josephus. We're going to read it along with this. Antiquities of the Jews. Hold on. I find it. I know where it is. It's going to be book 1, chapter 6. All right. Book 1, chapter 6. And let me find the paragraph. And paragraph 4. So as Amayatazar, you're going to read these verses first. You're going to read the names. Then, read that verse one more time. Verse 20, what, 2 you said?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and read that one more time. You guys get that. Get Antiquities of the Jews, book 1, chapter 6, and paragraph 4. I'm going to read that. Go ahead, Amayatazar.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 23. So verse 22. The children of Shem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram.
All righty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to go and read Antiquities of the Jews, book 1, chapter 6, and paragraph 4. It says, Shem, the third son of Noah, had 5 sons who inhabited the land that began at the Euphrates and reached to the Indian Ocean. All right. For Elam left behind him the Edomites, the ancestors of the Persians. Where is Persia today? Persia is Iran. They're Shemitic. They come from Shem. That's why I said, why is he saying Semitic when it ain't even Sem? Sem is how you say it in Spanish. I'm Semitic. But you don't say that in English. So there's something else that they're doing. That's what I'm trying to, and then remember, these people are astute, they're astutely evil. It's not open communication, it's like lawyer talk. The words that we use in their setting carry different meanings. We using the same word. What does it mean? It means something different in the court. Guaranteed. Sin, all of these different terms, right? Resident, different things than what you and I use them as in what? In layman's terms. So this is how he have to be doing it. So when he said the Persians, that's Iran today. Now I'm not saying that the Iranians are the original seed of Shem, but wherever they are in the world, they are from Shem. They're Semitic as well. Go ahead, Vito. I'm reading. Go ahead and pick it up on me at the side in paragraph 4.
Okay. Paragraph 4 from the top. Shem, the third son of Noah, had 5 sons who inhabited the land that began at Euphrates and reached to the Indian Ocean. For Elam left behind him the Elamites, the ancestors of the Persians. Asher lived at the city Neath and named his subjects Assyrians.
Right. Now, where is this today? This would be the original inhabitants who inhabited what today is known as from central Iraq to northern Iraq. Before you get into Turkey, all of that is where the Assyrians, the sons and daughters of Ashur, they are Semitic as well. Go ahead.
Who became the most fortunate nation beyond others. Arphaxad named the Arphaxidites, who are now called Chaldeans. Now, believe it or not, the Chaldeans are our ancestors. We come from, Abraham was a Chaldean. Arphaxad, Selah, all the way down to Peleg and Joktan. Peleg would have some, Eber would have Peleg and Joktan. And then we come from Arphaxad through to Peleg, through to Eber, Peleg, all the way to Terah, all the way to Abraham, or Abram as his name was called before the Most High chose. That's who we come from. Our actual homeland before the Most High set Abraham is Iraq and Kuwait. That's where our fathers were living at. That's where Abram and Terah left because Abram was pushing the Most High heavy, and they had to flee for their lives. Okay, yes, brother.
I was wondering, so that means the Edomites are Arphaxad?
Yes, they're our evil twin brother. Go ahead, Amiyatazah. So this is the Chaldeans. Now we come from Arphaxad. Go ahead. We are Shemitic. Don't worry, I'm gonna go down and extend this. Continue.
Okay. Aram had the Aramites, which the Greeks call Syrians.
So the people in the original people of the land that's under attack right now, whose president is Bashar al-Assad, those original, and I don't know where they are today in the world, but the original ones are Shemitic. You got a whole bunch of people from Shem. Now, these are just the immediate first 5 sons. Go ahead, I'm gonna get this up.
As Lord founded the Lordites.
The Lordites, go ahead.
Which are now called Lydians.
Now, the Lydians had their territory in what is now Turkey. The original inhabitants, before all of this conquest and shipping and shit, no, they were there and they were of Shem. Now, let's do this. We go to Abraham. Abraham had his first son with an Egyptian woman whose name was Ishmael. They are Shemitic. And all of Ishmael's seed. Abraham had 6 other sons. Genesis chapter 25, verses 1 through 8, with a woman named Keturah. They are all, the Arab world originally are all Shemitic. These are the ones that are accused hardcore of being what? All the Shemites are accused of being anti-Semitic. It's clear that all the rest of Shem is against your evil. Okay, Isaac, Abraham would have Isaac second, right before Sarah died. Abraham had Isaac with his descendants of the chosen seed, Semitic. Isaac would engender who? Esau and Jacob. All of the Edomites, no matter what family they are Semitic. All of the Israelites, no matter what tribe, right? The sons of Jacob are Shemitic. Lot traveled with Abram and Terah. And when they got to Haran, and the Most High called Abram out to bring him down, what happened? Lot came with it. The children, whether they are the Japanese and the Chinese, Moab and Ammon today, whoever the true sons and daughters of Mount, they are Shemitic. They come from Abraham's brother. What's up, Amiyatazah?
No, I'm just saying that all these people.
And so let's say Moab and Ammon are the Chinese and Japanese. And all the Chinese people all over the world that got different names out there are Shemites. It's a whole lot of Shemites in the planet. So he's saying something else. Now I don't know what that something else is. But it's just an, and listen, and the brothers don't sit back and know how they won't come to school. See that it's almost like a double-edged sword. It's like a curse, you get it, because they're coming from an experience, a more recent experience, where everything that they've done since at least about junior high, maybe some a little late started high school, their world has revolved around what? Has revolved around them being the center of attention. Oh, he's 12 years old. Look how tall he is. Let's take him to basketball camp. He's starting, whatever happens, he ends up, being a basketball star in high school. Now he's the center of attraction because why? He's got all the places recruiting him, the university recruiting him, and then before you know it, he's up for the NBA draft. This is taking place in the NFL. Same thing happened with Major League Baseball, right? So everything in this person's experience revolve around them being the center of attention. So when they get the truth, they shut up and find out how to learn. They're entering into a battle. It's like me jumping on the court with the Lakers. Come on, nigga, what you got? Right, I'm trying to guard somebody. Kids run circles around. Hell, they can run circles around in high school. I'm not equipped, right, to maneuver. I'm not equipped to combat in that field. They're not equipped. The first thing we expect is loss. And you know what? But we done lost everything already. So, all right, let's talk about this, right? What do you mean? And then we've been taught, we've been schooled, we've been working. The Spirit of the Most High have humbled us, has broken us to the will of the Most High. We can be used. There's nothing, they're gonna say, well, they're gonna look at you, oh, this nigga ain't got no bank account. The type of things that they would do to us is they basically look at they go and do background checks on us and try to put smears in about our previous and prior arrests and drug arrests and shit like that. That's what happened to us. Knows I'm a screw up. And this is why Christ said, a rich man shall hardly enter. He didn't say they can't. He did not say it's impossible. But he said hardly, meaning scarcely. Why? Because they're not willing to do what it takes to be accepted of Yahweh Shai. And that's what you see taking place, right? Say that again. Somebody want to say something?
I heard Kanye say that he was ready to lose everything. The billions.
Yeah, but let me say this. He's lying. I'm going to tell you how I know he's lying. Because when they took everything, the most recent interview I saw him in, where he said, even Ford, he said, and took everything, I lost this, I lost that. I heard him say that too, but I'm measuring him by his words. His claim to fame, he's yet boasting that even after having, quote, lost everything, that Forbes, who hate him, still have to admit that he's worth what? $400 million. Nigga, that's nothing about Christ-like. I don't care what you say. That's his claim to fame. Well, I still got money. So if when he do, listen, and from what I've received, he's already, am I wrong? Haven't he apologized? Huh?
They said that he did, but so it was false information, but he didn't have no apology.
Let me say this. Kanye is the same like the athletes. Everything done is done because he's used to being the center of attention. And last time, before this even happened, how many years ago was it when this nigga was on an airplane flying a choir around the world? Who remember that? There's some chubby Edomite talk show host or something that was following him around. He's one of these cats that be, how do I put it? He's like always with different celebrities. I saw him in a car one time singing with Stevie Wonder.
Oh, James Corden, English guy. Yeah. Okay,
so he was on an airplane with a big ass church choir singing Jesus cuts. Huh? About attention. It's about promoting himself in Jesus' name. It's the truth, huh? And the scripture said you'll know a tree by the fruity berry. What source was that lets you know the little bit you know? You can't go and submit and learn and sit back. I can tell you why. Ask the question first. How come you can't just sit back and learn and be humble and do what it takes to be a member of the body and push this knowledge? You know why? Because Israel won't even let it. The minute he step into school, everybody's going to be like this, wanting Kanye to be, right? Because Israel is plagued with idolatry. If somebody right now came and sit up there, can you guys handle it? If Kanye or whoever else came up in there, some high profile figure, who's going to be the first one to do this? Whoever it is, they need their arm chopped off with a fucking machete. Right. You know, arm just laying on the ground with the phone in it. Because it's our time. Most of the time, Israel won't just let somebody come in and be normal. You guys know I'm not lying.
It's interesting. I was Mike Tyson said something similar to that when he joined Islam. Yeah. He was basically saying that I joined because I needed help. You know, whereas these guys weren't trying to help me. They was trying to like take pictures with me. They was trying to exalt me. Do you know what I'm saying? He's like, I didn't want none of that.
Mike Tyson, if people have been listening to him from childhood, the dude, he was one of the humblest. He's a cutthroat survivor. He's one of the humblest dudes. And the fact that he said that, listen, Israel would be worse. But why do I say that? Because we have the truth. They couldn't have helped him anyway.
Yeah.
They did the same thing to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
They couldn't have helped him anyway. But we have been equipped to help people find their way back to the Most High through Christ. So number one, these cats don't really want it.
No.
If they find something out and they don't seek out more, they don't do what you did. Here you are sitting in school. Because you know why? You found out it was about the Most High in Christ and you wanted to know more about the Most High in Christ. But now that you know more about the Most High in Christ, if someone were to step in your midst of high profile, would you allow them? Then you got the other aspect where niggas is going to be trying to get money out of them. Half the school going to try to get their damn bills paid, right? Talking about, like, when I say half the school, I mean all the other congregations, that's exactly, hell, I'm assuming you guys work too hard to listen, you've been through the process too long to know there are no human saviors for us. You know that, right? The Most High bless us by the work of our hands and the sweat of our brow and our faith in Yahweh, our commitment to him. And in our commitment to him, our commitment to him is manifested and realized through our commitment to one another. But that's the whole deal, man. It's that easy to lay to rest the anti-Semitic. Now, let me say this. When you deal with the word anti, it means against and or in the place of. Like when you say antichrist, it's not a person that only is against Christ, that same spirit seeks to be in the place of Yahweh Shai. So when you say anti-Semitic, you're saying the same thing. Not only you can either be against that person or you seek to be in their position or both. But you don't have to be in there. You're already Semitic. That's the point I'm making. You are in that position. Now, whether you're there, you know, you can say, and I listen to Dave Chappelle with his comedian self, right? This dude comes out. Who saw the Saturday Night Live? Brother sent me a link of the Saturday Night Live monologue.
Yeah, I saw it.
Why is it that Esau was laughing his ass off and all his comedy was laden with nigga? Who heard that? Why ain't nobody offended at that? Why did he say that? How come you can't be anti-nigga? You're anti-Semitic. When somebody say nigga, how come you can't be anti-black? See, that's accepted. I listened to and he was telling jokes about Kanye and being anti-Semitic. The people don't know how to do it. They don't know how to come back and launch an attack. You don't mind if Hollywood is completely laden with black people killing people, smut, homosexuals. But if somebody come and tell a mere truth about anything about that so-called culture, you're anti this and no, but how come even the black people in the audience, how come the white folks in the audience just chuckled and laughed? And the ones that they laughed at was the ones that you were like, man, this nigga this nigga that. Now, don't get me wrong, you guys know I'm not offended by that word at all. I'm using it too often. I'm quite familiar as part of some major term in my lexicon. Y'all know that. I'm trying to show you the hypocrisy of the people that's all into the whole, the controversy through speech. You can't say nothing. Anyway, I just thought I'd ask that question, throw it out there and let you know that there is a way. Now you go through them scriptures, there is a way to be equipped. Go to the standard verses, right? Revelations chapter 2 and 9, and then 3 and 9. Go there on me, Yetazah.
Oh God.
Yes.
I sent you more in that definition.
The thing is picking up you got to come closer because the sound is choppy from that distance. Go ahead.
I sent you more of that definition, and I thought I had a question.
Okay. You sent the definition, and you have a question.
No, I got a question. But it's off of whatever you're gonna go on right now.
No, I'm not going on nothing. And we're just gonna read these last two verses and find out, because they will accuse that of being anti-Semitic, but then in doing so, that makes them clearly anti-Christ. they don't know how to fight. People just don't know how to take this book and fight. You know why? Because they won't come in and learn. And they get pumped back into being afraid and doing what what their masters tell them to say, tell them to do and speak how they want them to say. So these two verses, I want to hear the brother's question. Go ahead, I'm gonna get this out. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9.
Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not.
So there is a demographic, and it ain't us. Because we're still calling ourselves Negroes, West Indians, right? Panamanians, Mexicans, bitches, hoes, and all the G's, right? But not the Jews. This small fraction of people that are waking up, this doesn't qualify as those that say they are Jews and are not. This is talking about those who say they are Jews. Go ahead, Ami Yetazah.
But are the synagogue of Satan.
So now, this is what we would tell them. And they would say you're anti-Semitic, and I said Jesus said that. And they would, Garrett, they gonna say stuff about Christ, like you know that. So you manifest that sin, they are anti-Christ.
They don't even believe in Yahushua, do they?
That makes them anti-Christ.
Yeah.
It means against, or what? Or they seek to be in the place of. Okay, go to chapter 3 and verse 9.
Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
See, and the people don't know how to just come back with that, because you know why? Because that's going to get them. Well, let me ask you, what do these people think? If Esau, if the powers that be, just stole Russia's, what was it, close to $300 billion in foreign assets, cut Russia off from the SWIFT system, who do these simple as Black people think that they are? Of course they're going to beg. Of course they're going to apologize. Of course they're going to tone it down a bit. Of course they're going to start altering their wording. I didn't mean it like it sounded. What, nigga, what did you mean? Speak what you mean, nigga, or just shut up. Go come to school, man. Okay, Nagaha, what's your question, brother?
Now, it would be like I had not a debate, but just a discussion about like because see, my understanding is that the New World wasn't populated yet until I guess the Northern Kingdom took off first, right?
Okay, you're talking about the New World as in the Americas. Yeah, yes. According to the scriptures, according to 2nd Ezra chapter 13, yes. These are the ones that first populated these lands. Go ahead.
A lot of people keep saying that it was, you know what I'm saying, it was already natives here. So I'm saying, I'm trying to figure out, is you saying before the Northern Kingdom took off and ended up in Americas and became so-called Mayans and Aztecs and all that shit? Or it was I forgot, a brother brought out that when the Most High had scattered everybody in the 4 corners after the Tower of Babel.
Okay, I got you. No, brother, the Tower of Babel, let me share, that's actually a great question, because when you read the scriptures, when you read the Tower of Babel, I'm going to find this for you. We're going to stay in Josephus, book 1. I'm going to find the chapter, because they still wouldn't leave. They didn't go nowhere. After the flood, the Most High kept saying, go out and inhabit the known world, and they wouldn't. I got to find that for you. Let me see.
Like I said, to my understanding, it was when Solomon was sitting out his fleets.
Yeah, but exactly. That's why it's mentioned. So listen, first let's go and read what the scriptures say concerning it. I'm going to take one more break. When I come back, we're going to read from 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha, chapter 13. All right? Be right back.
Saying that maybe, saying so-called Indians is already here. Before the man and after you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to tell you, like, bro, like, yeah, you're right. They were the first ones. You were right. You know, I mean, yeah, there wasn't nobody. Like, I missed somewhere. Showed up to make me last. Yeah, he's wrong, but he's right. At the same time, there was nobody else. They were the first ones. This is our home. We will see a person in God.
That's not.
I mean, if you want to, say, just say, okay, you found it first, but this ain't our home. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But it was, I just thought about that now, because you tried to say that also.
Who's going to be the mother?
No. It was, you know what I'm saying, it was kind of different, maybe. I try to like, I'm just, you know what I'm saying, on the basis, I just, you know, some hesitations, you know, so. Kind of slow it down, kind of really slow.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Kawakb.
What's up?
Hey, after you're done with the brother, I sent you a question.
Okay. Y'all gotta ask me the questions, man. I can't be looking at this phone when I'm on class, but I can't even see.
I can read it to you.
Yeah, do me when we're done with this question, read it to me, okay? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to 2nd Ezra chapter 13, and I'll let you know the verse. What is it? Verse 40 something. Hold up.
Verse 40, yeah.
Is verse 40?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, but we want to start off at verse 39. Go ahead.
2nd Ezra.
Let's line it up. Let's line it up good. First, I want you to go to 2 Kings chapter 17. We'll read the event that happened before this. 2 Kings chapter 17.
Solomon.
No, just to bust up, just the being exiled from the north. So you're going to start off Amiyatazah at verse. Let's just start off for now at verse. Let's see. Start off at verse 13. Read swiftly, okay? 2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 13.
2 Kings chapter 17, verse 13. Yet the Lord testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets.
I started here so we can know who's being spoken of. So this is the Heavenly Father testifying against the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah. Go ahead.
Yet the Lord testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, which I sent to you by my servants, the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks, like to the neck of their fathers, that did not believe in the Lord their power. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them. And they followed vanity and became vain and went after the heathen that were round about them.
That means we began to follow all of their practices. Go ahead.
Doing exactly what we're doing now.
But brother, I wasn't going to say that, but it's, we are those people though. Go ahead.
Yeah. Concerning whom the Lord had charged them that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of the Lord their power, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the host of heaven,
Now,
and
this is
served
going
Baal.
back to what happened in 1 Kings chapter 12, when Solomon died and Rehoboam took the kingdom, and then Jeroboam took the other tribes off. That's what he's telling us. This is where it began. Go ahead.
17. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire and use divination.
So
and
this is what we were doing. We were killing our children, sacrificing the demons, using incantations. Divination is Go ahead, read on down. Meaning divine. What is divination? Divination is talking about the various instruments that are used to be able to tell people's future. That's what divination is, to divine. Go ahead.
And use divination and enchantments.
And enchantments is casting spells on people. Nigga, I need you to make this woman love me, right? Give a nigga love potion number 9. They were putting people under spells, huh? This is what our fathers did. Go ahead.
And sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger.
Go ahead.
Therefore, the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only.
Now, when he said the tribe, he's speaking of Judah and the tribes really that accompanied Judah. If you've read the history that's in 1 Kings, then you'll know that the Levites were kicked out of the northern kingdom and came back down to Judah. And many of the people that were down with that, also some of the other tribes came down. It tells you that. So the Most High had all of those families that he rejected, but the kingdom of Judah he retained. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Therefore, the Lord was very angry. Verse 19. Also, Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord their power, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made. And the Lord rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them and delivered them into the hand of spoilers.
Right. The spoilers was the Assyrians in this time. Go ahead.
Until he had cast them out of his sight.
Verse 21.
21. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following the Lord and made them sin a great sin.
So once again, that's 1 Kings chapter 12. Go ahead.
For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them, until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
Now go back and read verse 1 and let's find out. You read verse 1 and 2 so we can find out 1, 2, and 3. So we can find out who was the king and who was this being done, or who was this the Most High was using to execute this sentence. Go ahead, same chapter, verses 1 through 3.
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him.
That means he did evil, but he wasn't as bad as his predecessors. Go ahead.
Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents.
All righty. So this is Hoshea is the king of the northern kingdom, Judah, Israel, and Shalmaneser at this time is the one that he's subject to. Now we'll go, Amayetazad, to 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 39.
2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive.
So what's taking place, this is a prophetical vision where Ezra sees Christ coming. The nations are at war at the time, warring against one another at the time that Christ appears. They see the angels Christ, They come against the angels. Christ destroys them all. And it says, then he gathers a peaceable multitude. He's explaining now who this peaceable multitude. That peaceable multitude was the tribes of Israel. Go ahead. Verse 41.
Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where neither mankind dwelt.
Where never.
Sorry, where never mankind dwelt.
So that's the key. This verse is letting us know it wasn't nobody here. Yes, beforehand, Solomon had sent fleets. Hiram, through the base that they had in Tarshish is Spain, and it releases through what? The Straits of Gibraltar into the Atlantic Ocean. And so they were coming and bringing back exotic things. They also had a fleet that was stationed in Gaber, which was a port that was situated in the northern stretch of the Gulf of Aqaba that releases into the Red Sea. Is it the Red Sea? Yes, the Red Sea, not the Persian Gulf, and into the Indian Ocean. And this is where they were coming as well. But the thing is, India and all those places were inhabited. We just read that. We just read Josephus said who? The Persians, right? And that the children of Shem received land and they dispersed themselves from the Euphrates all the way to the Indian Ocean. So we know what? That the sons of Shem, they went on and inhabited that land. We know that the land of Ham was inhabited because that's Africa. We know that the land of Japheth that they call Europe was, but the place that was, it was this what we call the New Orleans on the other side of the water, on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Read that verse one more time and continue. Verse 41.
But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
So what happened is the influence that comes and gives opposite accounts are other people's books. They'll be saying, was it the Tartars? Was it the Berbers? I didn't read them books. They're books that ask the question, who are the Native Americans? And some suggest that they're the Tartars and the Berbers and different. But the Bible is the one we know. And listen, and their own books. Their own books tell you that. I have a couple of them in Spanish. I have one, I'll read some excerpts about the Aztecs in English. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
Go ahead.
And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river.
So the Euphrates runs from Assyria, northern Iraq, all the way down into what? Into the Persian Gulf. And this is what they did. Go ahead.
Verse 44, for the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. That
means the waters, the currents, the Most High allowed the currents to take them down to the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, to the Indian Ocean, right down into the Atlantic Ocean, and come on up and start landing in the Americas. The Most High held them, and it's going to tell you, read on down, how long it took. Go ahead.
Verse 45, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Asareth.
So this is where they came. Now, beforehand, during Solomon's reign, he had voyages, but they didn't stay. How do we know they didn't stay? Because the verse here said, never mankind dwelt. But they knew they had the navigational charts. They knew how to get here. I don't even doubt that they left monuments. But the scriptures say never mankind dwelt, so they didn't stay. Read on Amayetazar. I guess that's it, actually. Read read the last verse, verse 46.
Verse 46. Then dwelt they there unto the latter time. and now when they shall begin to come.
So that means what? That means they've been there from that time until we're in the latter times now. We're the descendants of those people. So yeah, what happens, brother, is you're going to find many sources that say that, but that's why we follow the Bible, right? And not the other sources that just don't, that really generate more questions than answers. Is that clear to you or satisfactory for you, brother? Because that's really the only answer.
It had been a while since I had went over that class.
I can't hear you. You got to come closer, brother.
I say that we were still on Senegate, I think, when I first had got that class.
Okay.
So I was just kind of unsure about what I was saying. So that's why I just, asked that question.
That's a good question. Yeah. And then the rest is just like history, right? What happens is there's a book called The Aztecs. You can get that book, and the first chapter is dedicated to proving who it says Aztecs, but it's not only talking about the Aztecs, it's talking about all of the inhabitants of the islands of the New World and what they call terra firma. How do you say that? And the mainland. And they open up in chapter 1. The first few paragraphs of chapter 1 is designed in lieu of the history having been destroyed by the Spaniards. The first chapter is dedicated to taking what relics that the Indians had themselves and explain to Diego, the guy's name, hold on. Yeah, Diego, hold on. Diego Duran? Yeah, Diego Duran. One of the Catholic priests, one of the Catholic frailes of the Dominican order. And they explained to him themselves who they were. I have another one, but it's all Spanish. I have this one in Spanish as well, but it don't serve us no good here. You guys should have that somewhere in your library, right? The Aztecs. And then I have one, it's called Los Señores de Totonicapán, and it's basically about the Mayans. And they say the very same thing, but it's all in Spanish. And they found a document that was signed in the 1500s and left in the congressional records where the 3 Quiche nations and all the others that they called collectively the Vupumac. That was what all the body of all the Israelites that came over referred to themselves, how they all came from the east and that they specifically were the sons of Jacob and that they were the same ones who fell at the hand of Shalmaneser during the time of Hoshea the king. Same thing, but it's all in Spanish. Yes, brother.
There's another book too, by Victor Von Hagen, where it says the Aztecs name and tribe, and they even break down like how the word Aztec wasn't their original name that they was calling themselves amongst each other.
Right.
The conquistadors were the ones that was calling them Aztecs. Because Aztec is the same word as Aztlan, which means from another land. Because the Aztecs, the so-called Aztec is from another land.
Right. Okay. But yeah, man, so like I said, they're books, and there's a whole lot of them. There's Lord Thurg, how is it? Lord Kingsborough. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of books. The Esau knew, and so the world is also flooded with books that are designed to misinform. They just lie, that's all. Okay, Nagaha, what's your question, brother? Can you read that?
Yeah, I shortened it up a lot.
Okay.
It was about Job 42:7.
Okay. Job 42:7.
Yeah. And you want me to go in with the question or what?
Let me get there, and as soon as I read that, then you can ask your question. You said Job 42:7.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold up. and it was so, that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy two friends, for ye have not spoken of me, the thing that is right, as my servant Job had. Okay, go ahead, brother. Your question?
My question was, does that mean that these men were not only wrong in their judgment towards Job, but also in their knowledge and wisdom overall?
Well, let's just he's basically, it's that verse right there says, whatever it is they was dropping on him, on Job, because remember, they were trying to, now right off the bat, their reaction, how can we put it? They were emotional.
Yeah.
Because you see what happens once they saw Job, right? When you go and you read chapter real quick, let's start off by seeing what state that they're in as they're talking to Job. In chapter 3, you read this, Nagaha, not chapter 3, it's the end of chapter 2. At chapter 2, start off at verse 11. Read verse 11. We're going to focus. I'm going to get to go and read it. Job chapter 2, verses 11 through 13, but we're going to emphasize verse 12.
Okay. Job chapter 2, verse 11. Now, when Job's three friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came every one from his own place, Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Namathite, for they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him.
Go ahead.
And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept.
When it says and knew him not, Job was so damaged that he was they knew it was him, but he was completely unrecognizable. Because remember, at this point, the Most High had hit Job with a sore where he was covered with boils all over his body, from the crown of his head to the sole of his foot, and he sat with an instrument scraping pus off of him continually. So imagine, has anyone ever seen an image of someone with full-blown smallpox? Give me an image of that, Amayet. So look for that if you can. Now, he didn't have smallpox, but let me do this. I'm going to go to Job chapter 2, and I'm going to read from verse 7. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore bile from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took with him a potsherd, like a ceramic instrument, to scrape himself withal. He was scraping the pus, right? And he sat down among the ashes. So this is something he getting ready to put on the screen of what Job and them, or Job's three companions, three friends, saw. You got it, Amiyetazar?
Yep.
Hopefully something in color. Bring it to life. There you go. Now that's smallpox. Now whatever Job had, it was covered like that. But the nature of it was there were pustules, because that's what you have, this potsherd to scrape yourself, just constantly keep the pus, clear. All right, you can remove that one on me at the time. That little girl be chasing me in my sleep tonight, brother. Screaming all the night and shit. But so from there, now this is what I would do. What I advise you to do, Nagaha. Read verse 12 again, Amayetazar, chapter 2 and verse 12.
Job chapter 2 and verse 12. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they rent everyone his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven.
Okay, now, so that means what? they're emotionally, they're empathizing with him. But in their empathy, they judged, they spoke up. Go back and let's read that verse again in chapter 42. The Most High says, you spoke of me incorrectly. Because they probably assumed, now when I say probably, because I can't go right now and off the top of my head and specifically cite what they said. But they're more than likely, when you read certain excerpts, they're assuming Job was not righteous toward the Most High. And they didn't know that what it come down to, they didn't know that the Most High allowed Satan to be satiated to prove to Satan that Job was loyal.
Can I define my question more?
Say that again.
Can I define my question more just a bit?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I understand that part. I guess what I'm trying to say is we quote these men that were trying to counsel Job. Like, for example, the Most High speaketh once, gave twice, but man perceiveth not. That was something Elisha said, but the Most High said these men weren't speaking right, according to him. So my question is, I get they were often judgment toward Job, like why he was being punished, etc. But were they often just overall how they perceive the Most High and how we quote them? Or we'd have
to go and do a study on what they're saying. Literally, I can't just come and blanket yes or no. For instance, the verse that you use, what they dropped about the Most High in that is true. I'm speaking of the verse, for the Lord speaketh once yet twice, but man perceiveth it not. That's the truth. But what they were dropping, and so the Most High didn't specify out of all the things that they dropped on Job, what was it that was off? You know what I mean? He didn't specify. But what you would have to do literally is do a study of, for instance, let me show you something. Go to chapter 4. Now, why are we going to chapter 4? Because in chapter 3, Job is like, I wish I was dead. That's bad. That's all in chapter 3. Right? You read chapter 3, Job basically is like, man, woe was me. And it'd be better than I was not born. This be the verse that brothers errantly used to say, see, you're not supposed to celebrate birthdays. Nigga, Job is saying he wish he was dead. He's not saying anything about birthdays. Job is completely covered. Job is looking worse than that little girl we just saw. So that's what chapter 3 is. Let's do this, Amayetazar. I want you to start off at verse 11 of chapter 3. We're going to read select verses so we can get the spirit of what's being said, because in chapter 4, Eliphaz replies. Now I'm giving you an example of what you have to do, because in order for you to know which of the sayings and what chapters are, you have to find out what he said. Then you got to go through the rest of the Bible and measure what he said against what the Lord says. You know, and now you have to measure his words by the rest of the word of the Lord.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? To be able to pinpoint what was it, in what chapter, what was the saying. Go ahead, Amayetazar, read verse 11 of chapter 3.
Job chapter 3 and verse 11. Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly?
Continue.
Why did the knees prevent me? Or why the breasts that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept. Then had I been at rest.
So when you continue all of it, that's the spirit that he's speaking in. He's speaking out of misery. Now, the first one to reply in chapter 4, verse 1 is Eliphaz. So go there, Amayetazar. Let's see what he says.
Job chapter 4, verse 1. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, if we essay to commune with thee, would thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking?
So what the first thing he says is, will it be bothersome if we decide to answer your question, decide to reply to what you just said about wishing you were dead? That's what he does. The first thing that he's asked Job, you don't mind if we rap to you, because looking at you, who could hold back his words? That's what he's saying. Go ahead. Verse 2.
3. Sorry, verse 2 again. If we essay to commune with thee, would thou be grieved? but who can withhold himself from speaking?
Yeah, he said under these circumstances, who could just be quiet and let you go on like this? Go ahead.
Verse 3.
Now the
Behold.
first thing he does is he's calling Job weak. Now I'm going to show you. Read on down.
Verse 3. Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him.
Listen, Job was known for this. He was known for keeping the brothers that what? That was other families, whoever that was catching hell and at being weak. He was known for keeping them strong, for keeping them what? With the proper perspective concerning the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Thy words have upholden him that was falling, and now has strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled.
So the Most High right off the bat, didn't like his attitude. You see that toward Job. Because the Most High had already told him what? Job was righteous. So he's coming at Job as though, you done kept other people strong, but now you got, listen, now, is this what he said wrong to the Most High? I can't see, because this verse, this is one of the verses that I put on myself when I start getting hit. Now I'm going to show you something. Does this word, what he just said, just those three verses, right? Verse 3, 4, and 5. Does that contradict any sentiment anywhere in the scriptures that the Most High have shared with us in his word concerning a person that's being afflicted? That doesn't.
No. Ecclesiastes 37.
Exactly. Listen. Ecclesiastes chapter 6. Well, let me see. Ecclesiastes chapter 2.
Yeah.
Right, it exhorts us. 1 Timothy, or is it 2 Timothy chapter 2? Endure hardness as a good soldier. Paul said, Paul recognized, he says, so that I did not think more of myself or anybody else. The Most High sent a messenger, Satan, to buffet me in the flesh. And I prayed thrice that the Most High would move it. He said, the Lord said, my grace is sufficient for you. So those, in other words, this, to answer that question and know that that I'm answering the question right, we would literally have to do an exhaustive study. And that's something that I would advise you to do, because that's what's going to take you deep. You're going to take all these words and say, well, where is it? I'm going to get this up. Read verse 6. Now I can show you where he's wrong here in verse 6 and 7. But by what? But by what's written in verse 1, what is written in Job chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now this one, let me say this. Verses 6 and 7, verses 3 through 5, he's speaking upright. He's in the right spirit. But then he goes to what? Read on down, it's a read verse 6 and 7.
Verse 6.
You're going to read verse 8, because what he's doing is, man, he's stepping on some damn shoes. Go ahead.
Job chapter 4 and verse 6. Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways?
No, you got to read it right. Verse 6. Oh, maybe mine's is off.
I think I've got to start from verse 5.
Okay.
Okay. But now it has come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways?
Okay, mine's is not this thy fear, thy confidence, the uprightness of thy ways, and thy hope? It's just those two are twisted. Anyway, so yeah. Now listen to what he's saying. He's saying you're confident in the fact that you're righteous. He's getting ready to slam Job. He said you've been confident all this time in the fact that you're upright and that your hope is in that you're righteous. Read on down.
Verse 7. Remember, I pray thee.
But remember this, please. Go ahead.
Whoever perished being innocent? Or where were the righteous cut off?
So he's saying the fact that you're going through this, you're not upright. Whoever whoever perished, whoever got, in other words, your kids died, they clearly wasn't righteous.
Right.
Who did that ever happen to that was righteous? That's what he's saying. And this is clearly, they didn't speak right of the Most High, because in chapter 1, the Most High told Satan himself, and in chapter 2, that Job is a righteous man. He doesn't shoot evil. Job, it pleases me. Because why? Because they're just men. And the Most High wasn't mad at them, but because they represented, in other words, their representation to Job on what he was going through at the hands of the Most High was due to his pride and not what, and that he wasn't, and his assumption he was righteous. It didn't cross their minds that the Most High, Job said it the best to his woman, shall a man receive good of the Lord and not receive evil? He was righteous at his lowest. And they were wrong. They measured what? The Most High, that he was coming at Job for Job's wickedness, and the Most High was trying Job's righteousness. That's what those next 3 verses let you know. You see what I'm saying, Art?
Yeah, I got you.
So yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to go and say, okay, let me see where. But now let's go back to chapter 42 and read verse 7 and 8. The Most High didn't smite them; they just had to offer a sacrifice because they offended. Go back and read that. I mean, it's chapter 42 and verse 7 on down.
Job chapter 42 and verse 7. And it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and against thy 2 friends, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job have.
So that means Job's response was truly the spirit of the Most High, and theirs weren't. You know why? Because they was affected by what they saw. That's all. That's why I said they looked at him, couldn't recognize him, and just burst into tears. They was emotional about it. And this is what happened. Brothers be sometimes getting bent out of shape because whatever you go through, some of us, like myself in particular, don't take an emotional approach. Because you can't be emotional. That's what the scripture referred to as your heart. He that trusteth in his heart is a fool. It says the heart is desperately wicked above all. Who can know it? Go ahead, I'm gonna get this, I read on down. Verse 8.
Verse 8. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. And my servant Job shall pray for you, for him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly.
Now, all the things you said to Job, he was dropping the truth on you. You misrepresented me. You got to go back. You got to take these sacrifices. You're going to offer them up. Job is going to pray for you because I ain't taking your prayer. And that way I won't deal with you according to your foolishness. That's what he told them. Go ahead.
In that you have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job.
This is cold, ain't it? Go ahead.
Verse 9. So Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad the Shuhite and Zophar the Naamathite went and did according as the Lord commanded them. The Lord also accepted Job.
Go ahead.
Verse 10. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before.
Let's just finish this on out, man. Listen, so that question that you asked that generated this, it's worth now what? Doing your own exhaustive study. But guess what? It's going to make you study the rest of the book. Because you're going to have to measure everything that's said by either something else in the book will substantiate it, will confirm it, or will refute it. But you would have to focus on the words of those 3. Because the Most High, I'm not saying when it says that then Job answered, don't read it. I'm just saying, understand that the Most High telling us he was pleased with all of Job's responses. But we have to know which one specifically of the responses of Job's friends that the Most High was displeased with. Continue on the answer. Let's finish this on out. Verse 11.
Verse 11. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before.
That means
And
what?
did
That
eat-
means, man, he got hit so hard, he ain't seen his brothers, he ain't seen his own sisters out, all of his friends. Go ahead.
and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning.
Mm.
For he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she asses.
1,000 yoke, that means 1,000 pairs. Go ahead.
Verse 13, he had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Keren Hapok. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren.
Mm.
After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days.
Man, see, just that right there should make you want to go on and dive into the book now, right?
Crazy.
Huh?
They name. It gives you the daughter's name, right?
Yeah, Jemima, man. That's where they get that Aunt Jemima pancake from. Jemima.
Well,
I am the bar, brother. Well, it's about that time. So what you guys should do, what you all should do, is in preparation for our classes on the last Friday for the month of December, right? You guys should just always just have a list of questions that you just have reserved, you know?
Right.
And that way, if something pop up during the course of the month, boom, write the question down. We won't run out of any scriptures or any topics. All right.
Right.
Anything you want to say? I'm gonna yet to the brothers.
Nah, just shalom.
All righty. Well, I'm gonna yet to. I'll see you tomorrow, brother.
Yeah.
Y'all brothers keep on fighting, man. And just know that Christ is on his way, brother. It's coming soon.
We'll see you. Shalom.
All right, shalom, brothers.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Well.
So,